All right, here we are. This is going to be part 2I. This is the final recording for the tutorials for assignment number 1. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here for the recording. And what does 2I ask us to do? So 2I says to create a mixed use scenario for a parcel shown in the tutorial. Submit an exported Excel spreadsheet report for the summary statistics and land consumption. So I've showed you all the basics now of how to make maps to analyze your area, right? That's what we were doing. Like, are there transit stops nearby? Are there parks nearby? Is it in, is it going to be impacted by sea level rise? Is it in an opportunity zone, right? So that's all kind of, we consider that contextual analysis of what's in and around your site. Now we're going to start to learn what urban footprint is good at, which is scenario planning. And we're just going to start to scratch the surface with this assignment. And this is going to be more of the basis for assignment number 2. But you're just going to start to learn it. And it's really not that difficult, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So we're going to go back into our site. I'm going to turn off this opportunity zone map. We're going to zoom in, and I'm going to pull up my base canvas. I'm going to turn that back on to show my land use. Okay. Now, if you recall, when I went back originally, if you go back to the overview, right, we're still in this explore tab, right? Remember, there's like the build tab up on the left here. And then there's the analyze. We're going to start to use these tabs up on the left here. And in order to create a scenario, you're going to want to use this plus button to create a new scenario. So the first thing, again, what I'm asking you to do here is to create a mixed use scenario for a parcel shown in the tutorial. So in this case, I'm going to just create a mixed use scenario for this, for maybe this big parcel right here, or I could do the whole thing if I want to. So I'm going to click on start. You add a, create a new scenario, you click the plus button. The only option it gives you at this point is creating a new scenario from your base scenario. In this class for assignment 1 and for assignment 2, you're always going to create your new scenario based on your base scenario. We'll talk a little bit more about that down the road in assignment 2, but I just want to give you a heads up on it. So always create new scenario from your base scenario. I'm going to go ahead and click there. And then when you create your new scenario, the most important thing for you to remember is to click into your new scenario before you start to manipulate it, right? You don't want to manipulate your base scenario, right? If I forgot to click on this tab right here, and I start to go in here and change things, now I'm changing my base scenario. I don't want to change my base scenario because I want to compare my new scenario to my base scenario, right? This is the whole point we use GeoJSON in the first place, because I want my base scenario just to show me like what's going on in this little polygon. I'm going to go to my new scenario, scenario number 1, and I'm going to start to go to this build tab over here. So you're going to click on this build tab. And in the build tab, what you're going to need to do are 2 things. You're going to need to select the parcel that you want to change, and then we're going to build something, right? So I can select the point selection button, right? And I could select any of these parcels, or if I want, I could create a box selection, maybe draw a box like this, and it'll select everything that intersects with that box. And so right there, it tells me I've selected 20 features, right? I can clear my selection. So no selection. Again, if I go back to the point, I can click on that one and it tells me up here, I selected 1 feature. If I click on the shift, I can select more and add it, So shift allows you to select more things, right? So now I held the shift down. I selected four features, right? Sometimes it's hard to see the outlines in here. I can turn off my base canvas. No, I need to have that scenario canvas on in order to see it. So I'm actually now on the scenario canvas, not the base canvas, right? Because the base canvas is on this tab. So I'm going to go ahead and here, go back to the build, right? And it's still selected those 4 features once I went back to build. So let's say I want to select everything in my study area. All right, clear it. I can select this polygon selection and just kind of draw over this polygon I created, like just trace over it. And then double click on the last one. And it selected 20 of all 20 features, right? So let's just select them all, okay? Now I'm in my scenario. I've showed you how to select the features. You could, again, select 1 or more. Each feature is a parcel of land, as recorded, by the, the county, right? If I wanted to subdivide this parcel, that would be, I'd have to subdivide that parcel if I were a developer. But right now, this is all one big parcel in the eyes of the county. Now there's a couple different ways, couple different things that I could do in order to what they call paint new place types or apply place types. Let's say building types. I can type a building type and select a building type, and I could select mixed use buildings, right? But in this case, I'm kind of working in a place, so I might do a place type. And I said in the assignment, I want you to create a mixed use scenario. So here's my mixed use scenarios are at the top. There's residential, commercial, industrial, civic, open space, agriculture, natural and conservation, and water. And you're going to learn more about the residential and the commercial in addition to the mixed use in assignment 2. We'll be working on that in assignment 2. But for this case, what this shows me is that if I want to select mixed use, it's 48 dwelling units per acre, and 93 employees per acre. Okay. If I want to do town center, it's 25 dwelling units per acre and 48 employment per acre, right? So this is about half the density. Town mixed use is about half the density as city mixed use. And there's also urban mixed use, which is even higher than city mixed use, which is basically 70 dwelling units per acre and 230 employees per acre. So, and then there's this other village one, which is 16 dwelling units per acre and 17.8 employees per acre. There's suburban, there's low density. You got all these different options, right? So you may say, well, what if I don't like the 48 dwelling units per acre? Like, what if I just wanted to propose, I wanted to build, 1,000 housing units instead, right? As opposed to trying to calculate what it is per acre. Okay, we'll cover that in a little bit. But for now, go ahead and select whatever one you want. In this case, I'll pick town mixed use. Okay. And what it's telling me here is that the population of my study area, I'm not done. I haven't painted it yet. I have to paint it. I have to select this button to apply it. I haven't done that yet. But what's telling me here is that my site, my study area, is going to go from 14 people to 3,400 people. Remember before I said I wanted to create a scenario of about 3,000, 3,500 people, right? So that seems about right. It's going to go from 4 dwelling units to 1,900 dwelling units. How come there's less dwelling units than population? Yeah, because more than one people live in a unit, right? And it's applying a calculation, a formula to that, right? And my jobs, my employment, because it's going to be mixed use, is going to go from 991 units. 991 employees to 3,934 units, right? Now you may be thinking like, well, where are these people going to go? What's the site plan going to look like, right? How's that all going to work? Well, that's all going to be, that's what you're going to be working on later in the class. You're going to come up with site plans, right? This is just applying kind of a broad set of redevelopment scenarios to this. And it will tell you the square footages, which is kind of, it's like, you know, tells you that you're going to be adding square footage. You can look at the details here. But let's go ahead and just paint these features here. So what I wanted you to do, and so now it applied this purple, so it's just showing it all as mixed use. So if I go back and click on my base scenario, I should see, I got to turn it on. I can see the land use colors, right? And now what we've done is we've literally rezoned this area to be mixed use. And now I can see what that looks like in scenario 1 here. And what I ask you to do is to submit and export the Excel spreadsheet report for the summary statistics and land consumption. Where do I find that? So what I might like you to do also is to create a map, right? You can do a snapshot, or you can, you know, export a map here, just like we've done in the past, right? So you can go ahead and I'm going to turn off the base canvas and just go ahead and show mixed use, right? So I can go ahead and export that map. That's not really what's, that's really not important. That was my opportunity zone map. And what's important is going into, you got the build button, which we've used. Then you got your analyze. Go and click on your analyze. We're not going to really worry about the analyze right now, because what this is going to tell us is we're going to run land consumption. It's the only scenario we're going to run for right now. All these other ones, energy use, water use, walk accessibility, transit accessibility, these are all important things that will tell you about how your new scenario compares to your base scenario. But we're not going to worry about those for assignment 1. Those will be stuff we'll do in assignment 2. But you're going to want to go to, and this, see how this says your analysis is running? Well, you're going to want to wait until that analysis is done running before you go to your report. And so this can take a little while. In fact, in assignment 2, when you run all of these things, it can take so long to run that what you're going to probably want to do is just click run and then just step away from the program for the night and let it run all night, come back tomorrow, and it'll be done. This shouldn't take too long. But if we go to the report, it show, and when that, you can see it's still running for land consumption. But what this is telling us is, this is nice. It's showing us population went from 14 to 3,400. Housing went from 4 units to 1,900. The jobs went. Unfortunately, there's no way for you to export this without doing a screenshot. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. It's a flaw of urban footprint. But what you could simply do is you could take a screenshot of these summary statistics, right? I usually maybe I'll do like 4 at a time, right? Just go ahead and maybe paste those into your document, right? Okay, so it's nice to have those graphs, but what I want you to do is I want you to export the spreadsheet, which is this button up on the top right. When you export this spreadsheet, okay, so I'm downloading that. So now that's just the map of my scenario canvas. It downloaded it very quickly. So I'm going to open that up. This spreadsheet is really cool. It gives you way more information than what you see graphically here. And this is why I want you to get comfortable with kind of downloading that spreadsheet, is because not only does it give you all the same data in terms of like numerical data, right? But you can go and very easily see here, like how building square footage, right? So it's telling me that if I go with this scenario, I'm going to be building, the scenario is going to be creating 232,127 square feet of retail space, of which 129,694 square feet is restaurant space. 90,000 is arts and entertainment. 41,000 is accommodations. 190,000 is other retail. Office is 648,000. Medical services is 60,000, right? It's coming up with this scenario, okay? So this just, you know, and I will show you how you can change this scenario. Like if you want to input the square footage as opposed to the scenario giving it to you, you can do that as well, which is really cool about the program. But it gives you like housing units. It's telling you that you're going to be building 1,986 dwelling units. 1,579 are going to be multifamily. 407 are attached single family, basically townhomes. And that's the scenario it's giving you for this scenario. And what I want you to do is I want you to save this spreadsheet and upload this. You know, you can upload this separately, you know, from that other map page, but I would like for you to upload this so that way I know that you've run a base scenario and scenario one, and that you can understand and look at the data that it's coming out with. Okay, now it's telling me the land scenario, land consumption scenario is done. So what you got to do is, like I was in summary statistics before, you got to actually click on land consumption. And what the land consumption is telling me is that these charts don't really tell me all that much, to be honest. But if I click and download that spreadsheet in the upper right corner, I want you to upload this one as well. It's just simply telling me the number of acres that were developed. And this could be useful, right? If you're looking at like how many acres were developed. Well, you had scenario one, you're going to end up with but see, oh, it's like I looked at this and I'm like, where's my base scenario? I'm not comparing it to anything, right? So now I got to go back and say, oh, I want to see my base. Oh, it won't let me see my base scenario for this summary statistics scenario. Okay. For the summary statistics, it shows you comparison to the base scenario. For the land consumption, it's only showing me my scenario. If I create multiple scenarios, it'll show me how much land is consumed based on multiple scenarios, but it doesn't compare your base scenario. So if I go back to this scenario, what it's basically telling me is it's consuming 10.67 acres of urban vacant land is being consumed for this. Urban redevelopment land is they're consuming 70.46 acres. How the program determines what is considered urban vacant versus urban redevelopment is based on the categorization of the land use in the underlying component of the program. I wouldn't really worry so much about that. Basically, what this number, the 81 acres, that's kind of the important number, right? You're consuming or you're redeveloping 81 acres, okay? These numbers really don't change much here. But the point is I want you to really understand the difference between summary statistics. Again, this is under the reports tab versus the land consumption. And in assignment 2, we're going to have scenarios for all of these that we're going to go through. This manage tab down here. We don't really use this all that much, but it has some useful information like the methodology and whatnot. But really, you're going to be looking at the reports, your analysis tab. This analyze tab. This is where you know, if you want to create another new scenario or change this scenario. Sorry, that's your build. That's your build one. So I close that. And I go to analyze. That's analyze shows me the different modules that I can analyze, right? So again, let's just go through it from the top. We got the Explore tab, and these are like switches. You have to turn them on and off. So Explore is what we've been using. Build brings up this dialog box that allows you to select your parcels. It allows you to manipulate and change your parcels. And Analyze gives you the option of which scenarios you want to run. So this is where you select your scenarios to run. And then your Reports tab is where you get your reports and you download your spreadsheets on the upper right. And you can see the summaries in graphic form here. And again, there's no way to export these other than taking a screenshot. Okay. So let me just show you one more thing with this. As I mentioned earlier, like there's different ways that you can run it. And this is, again, more to prepare you for assignment 2, but I think it's a useful thing to look at. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go into the build scenario. I'm going to create a new scenario, scenario 2. And again, I'm going to base it off of scenario 1. Now in this build, in scenario 2, right? I'm going to just select one feature at a time. In fact, I'm just going to select one feature because this is a very large parcel. So I'm going to go ahead and build a scenario here by clicking on build. I'm in scenario 2. I'm going to click on this one point selection. I'm going to select this one very large parcel. Okay. This parcel is 47 acres. Rather than go selecting a selection here, for example, a building type or a place type, this is where I might want to say, hey, I want 2,000 housing units on this parcel. So I can click on residential attributes and I could add single family, large lot, single family small lot, single family attached, which are townhomes or multifamily, right? So I'm going to add in this case, I'm going to add in 2,000 multifamily units, and it's asking me for the square footage size of each unit. So I'm going to just say roughly 1,000 square foot on average. So that's 2 million square feet total. Okay. And it automatically calculates and says, if I add 2,000 units, I'm going to be adding, it's going to create enough space for adding 3,384 people. Okay. So that's there. But I want to create my own mixed use place, and I don't want it all residential. I want to add some mixed use. So now I can add some employment attributes. So I might want to add some retail. And rather than saying how many employees per acre, like I don't know how many employees per acre. How to me that's confusing, right? But I know like I might want to add 20,000 square feet of restaurant space in my area. So I could just go in here and put in 20,000 square feet of restaurant space. And it'll tell me automatically that that's going to give me about 39 employees. And it asks for the density. Like I could do low, medium, or high. So I'll just, we could look at the difference. I'm not really sure what that, okay. So it says that for building density applies square footage per employee factors to calculate the derivative column to the right. It's just basically this data determines how many employees there are. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to add more, right? Because I don't want just restaurants. I'm sorry, that's retail. I got 20,000 square feet of retail. I guess restaurants is considered part of retail. There you go. But now let's say I want to do some office. And maybe I want to add 100,000 square feet of office. Now I got 100,000 square feet of office, 20,000 square feet of retail. Retail includes a restaurant. I got 120,000 square feet, right? Now let's say I want to look at some public space. Maybe I want to build a new library or maybe a school or something like that, right? So I can maybe add in like another 50,000 square foot building. There, right? And that's pretty good. I don't want industrial or agricultural mills. So I'll go ahead and close that. It saves all of that. It's just going to apply to this one parcel. If I go back in, if I selected the whole thing, I can add, there was a button there where I can apply it per feature, which is per lot, or I could apply it per acre, but I'm just going to do it per feature. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this into my new scenario. Again, it's just going to change this one lot there. And it tells me, gives me my summary statistics. But if I go over to my analyze, right, I can run the land consumption one. And we saw that that wasn't all that useful, right? Just told us the amount of acres that we developed. In this case, I already know that this is 47 acres, so that's not that useful to me. But I do want to look at my summary statistics. I love the summary statistics because it tells me now the difference. Like I can add in scenario 2 and I could compare the scenario 1 and scenario 2. And again, I can copy these or I can export this Excel spreadsheet, which usually downloads very quick. I can upload. Oops, go ahead and there we go. So now I have my summary statistics for, oh wait, hold on, that's the wrong one, sorry. Let me go to my downloads folder. And here we go. I got scenario 1, scenario 2. I can see the difference in population of scenario 1 versus scenario 2 versus the base population, the number of dwelling units, the number of jobs. So scenario 1 has a lot more jobs. Scenario 2, based on the square footages that we inputted, has a lot less jobs. And I could look at the differences in building square footage. Now, in this case, I entered the building square footage, right? So it should match up. The total should generally match up to what I entered for scenario 2. And there you go. So that's another way to do it. And that's probably the way you're going to want to do it for your capstone project, right? Because you're going to want to think more about like how many buildings do I want to add, what's the square footage, how many apartments or townhomes do I want to add, and you could enter those in based on your site plans, right? But we're going to learn again more about this in assignment number 2. What I just showed you is more for assignment 2. You have more than what you need for assignment 1. So let's kind of stop. I'll stop this recording.